Is democracy in America in a state of an existential crisis? According to The Economist, America remains the world's richest, most productive and most innovative big economy. It is leaving its peers ever further in the dust. America is riding high. If that is the case, then why Biden has a hard time selling this strong selling point to Americans? Is it because over the years more and more Americans have become radicalized into MAGA fanatics and other far-right and right-wing weirdos like neo-Nazis and other white supremacists, Klansmen and Christian nationalists? Maybe so. These days in America, the untruth becomes the new truth. Americans are enmeshed and got entangled in their own lies and deceit, endangering their own democracy, which many of them take great pride of. The so-called American experiment. Have you been to other countries? Which other country in the world has so many of its citizens proudly displaying the national flag on their homes? Only in America. Back in 1776, the new American nation had a democracy which was one of a kind, a new model of government for the rest of the world, and it remained so for a very long time. It was the American experiment as penned by Thomas Jefferson. It led to so-called American exceptionalism and a belief in manifest destiny. Frankly, it appears to be that way for centuries until now. Now, anti-democratic forces within the country seem set to change the course of American history. God bless America. This week, Trump was finally indicted by a federal grand jury for knowingly mishandling classified federal documents he kept and later destroyed inside his Mar-a-Lago mansion in Florida. It's about time. He is charged with obstruction of justice, destruction or falsification of records, conspiracy and false statements. A total of 34 counts. In March, Trump was also indicted by a New York grand jury for falsifying business records to cover up hush money payments to adult film actress Stormy Daniels. A total of 31 counts. In May, a New York jury found Trump guilty in a civil case involving sexual battery and defamation against E. Jean Carroll, who accused him of sexual assault inside a New York City department store in 1996. She was awarded $5 million in total damages. Trump is the only U.S. president to be impeached twice. He is also the only former U.S. president to be criminally indicted in not just one but multiple criminal charges. Wow! Will he also be charged in leading the U.S. Capitol insurrection? Following his exhortation, his fanatic MAGA followers assaulted the U.S. Capitol to stop the inevitable proclamation of Joe Biden as new president on January 6, 2021 in an attempt to steal the election. Trump is also the most prolific liar of all time. He made a total of 30,573 false or misleading claims during his entire time in office. That's roughly about 21 false statements per day. Truly, an unbeatable Guinness World Record. Yet he is still the idol to the millions of adoring MAGA Republicans, many of them the religious kind. Go figure. In fact, half of evangelicals believe Trump is anointed by God. It baffled many who find his conduct at odds with core Christian values. A recent survey found that 49% of white evangelical Protestants believe Trump was chosen by God. It makes no sense to many people considering that the guy is not just the most irreligious U.S. president in modern history. His entire worldview makes a mockery of core Christian values like humility and empathy and care for the poor. A record 81% of white evangelicals voted for Trump, more than George W. Bush, and that support has grown into a fervor over the years. If that's not insane, I don't know what is. I thought the GOP had reached rock bottom 2 years ago. I never imagined they could go this low. A party so unhinged from the truth. Moving forward, there's no telling how low they could go further. A house divided against itself cannot stand. Abe Lincoln famously quoted the Bible during his speech in 1858. At the time, the critical issue for the nation was slavery. He meant that the ideals of freedom for all and slavery could not coexist. Slavery must be universally accepted or universally denied. A nation cannot be half slave, half free. The nation has since get rid of slavery after a deadly civil war, and at least, in principle, gave its citizens civil rights. In this day and age of social media, The nation once again is confronted with the same dilemma. But instead of slavery, this time the critical issue is the truth versus the lie. Funny, many in the MAGA crowd of the GOP have euphemism for their lie. They call it alternative truth. What alternative truth? A lie is a lie is a lie. The truth must prevail for this nation not to fall. We cannot continue to be governed based on lies. Propaganda and gaslighting must stop. America's state of democracy is in the middle of an existential crisis that can upend the core values of this country, which are the reasons that attracted millions of people around the world to its shores. God bless America. This is Mong Lando. Maraming Salamat po.